Aha. Wow. Top-level agents been watching, watching you? And now they ain't hiding anymore. Nah, they want to step out, in person, to thank you face to face. That's right, the shadows are moving, the silence is breaking, and it's all because you shook their world. Oh, you thought you were invisible? Huh? They've been tracking every step, every scar, every win, every moment you refused to fall. And now, oh wow, they can't ignore you anymore. So buckle up, because this ain't just a story. This is your story, your fire, your rise, your moment of reckoning. And trust me, you don't want to blink. You don't want to miss a single second. Not tonight, not ever. And hey, real talk. This channel survives because of you, your energy, your comments, your super thanks. They keep this fire alive. You're not just an audience. Nah. You're part of the movement, part of the storm they couldn't stop. So do me one favor. Stay locked in till the very end. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that super thanks if you're riding with the message. And remember, this entire monologue, it's a tribute to you, the ones who refuse to disappear. Now tell me, are you ready to hear what the watchers have to say when they finally step into the light? They've been staring at you for longer than you think. Not with idle curiosity, not with casual glances. No, with focus, with precision, with silence sharpened into a blade. That's how it begins. The realization. You thought you were moving in the dark, unseen, forgotten in the noise of billions. But your steps, they were louder than you knew. Every choice carved into the air like a scar. Every refusal to bow left a mark. And those marks were red. Someone was keeping the ledger. Someone was watching. Top-level agents. Not the kind that need badges. Not the kind that flash authority to prove who they are. No. These are the ones who operate behind curtains. Their eyes never blink. Their patience is infinite. Their silence is not weakness. It is power waiting to pounce. And now, after everything, they have moved. They want to thank you, in person. Oh, the irony of it. You thought you were the unseen one, the overlooked shadow. Yet, you were the signal flare in a world of smoke. They noticed how you endured when others collapsed. They noticed how you sharpened yourself instead of softening. They noticed that you did not run when the storm screamed. You became something they cannot ignore. And so they watched, quietly, intensely, like predators circling a creature they thought would falter. But you didn't falter. You made the silence your armor. You made the waiting your weapon. And the watchers, the so-called untouchables, leaned closer because you disrupted their certainty. You disrupted their little equations of who rises and who falls. Oh, wow. Doesn't that sting them? The arrogance they carried, thinking they alone decide who ascends, who breaks, who stays invisible. And then you walked into their world without asking permission. You weren't supposed to exist at this level. You weren't supposed to disturb their gaze, but you did. And now they're forced to act. Yeah. Let that sink in. You've pulled the invisible into the visible. You've forced those who never step forward to step into your path. Imagine the weight of that. Imagine the fire in their eyes when they realize their patience has run out and they must reveal themselves. That's no small thing. That's not routine. That is an acknowledgement few ever earn. Nah, it wasn't luck. Don't you dare insult yourself with that excuse. This is consequence. The direct result of your grind, your scars, your relentless refusal to vanish. You made them see you, and seeing you was enough to disturb their world. That is why they come now. That is why their silence breaks. The air shifts when such agents move. You'll feel it before you see it. The silence thickens. The world slows like it knows something extraordinary is about to intrude. Their presence is not casual. It is not social. It is declaration. You've risen into the crosshairs of those who almost never acknowledge existence at all. And here's the part that twists the knife. They don't come to punish. They don't come to destroy. No, their language is sharper than that. They come to thank you. Thank you for proving their calculations incomplete. Thank you for being the variable they underestimated. Thank you for showing them the machine doesn't own every outcome. They don't thank often, which is why when they do, it shakes the ground. And that's where you are now, right on the edge. The watchers have left their shadows. The untouchables are stepping forward. Their eyes are on you, and their words will cut deeper than any blade. But what kind of thank you do you think they carry? A thank you from them is not applause. It is a blade disguised as a handshake. You must understand this. Their gratitude is not light. It does not come with smiles and warm gestures. No, their thank you is heavy. It presses down on the chest. It makes the air colder, tighter, sharper. Because when they thank you, they are not merely acknowledging you. They are admitting you've pierced their control. And such an admission does not come cheap. Oh, wow. Doesn't that twist something deep inside you? To know you've forced acknowledgement out of those who almost never speak. To realize they have tracked your path, mapped your scars, and now step forward to nod in your direction. Their eyes don't blink when they arrive. They measure, they weigh, they study every detail. Because gratitude at their level is never free. You see, when they thank you, they are also testing you. They are gauging whether you can withstand the weight of being seen. Can you carry the pressure of knowing their attention doesn't fade? They are not interested in temporary sparks. They are interested in fire that refuses to die. Their thank you is also a warning. Yeah, it's a paradox, isn't it? You long to be recognized, yet when the recognition arrives, it shakes your foundation. You worked for it, but when it lands, you realize it's not the sweet taste you imagined. It's bitter. It's sharp. Because their eyes do not come alone, they drag expectation with them. Expectation that you'll keep pushing, keep bleeding effort, keep refusing to collapse. Nah. Don't misunderstand. This isn't them trying to crush you. No. Crushing would be too easy. This is them sharpening you further, whether you like it or not. They are sculptors, and you've become their latest obsession. Their thank you is the chisel against your armor. With every word, they carve deeper, forcing you into a shape even you don't fully recognize yet. And this is why their gratitude is so dangerous. Because once you've been acknowledged by them, you cannot go back. You cannot vanish into the crowd again. The moment their gaze locks onto you, anonymity dies. From that point on, your every move carries double weight because you are no longer unseen. The silence of obscurity is gone. The watchers have made sure of that. And so the question burns, what will you do with this burden? Will you let their gratitude become a chain, or will you turn it into a crown? Will you collapse under the pressure of their eyes, or rise with a defiance they never saw coming? That's the beauty of this moment. Their thank you is not the end. It is the beginning of something heavier, darker, sharper, and it leads to a single truth. When they step closer, they don't just thank you. They demand to see what you've truly become. They don't want your excuses. They want your essence. When they step closer, their eyes don't just study you, they strip you. They peel back the layers you've built, the masks you've worn, the lies you've told yourself just to keep breathing. They aren't impressed by survival alone. They aren't here to clap for endurance. No. They want to see if survival shaped you into something unbreakable, or if it simply left you trembling behind a tougher skin. Oh wow. That realization alone should shake you, because it means every scar you carry isn't enough on its own. They want to know what the scars made you. Did they turn you into steel, or just a cracked version of who you used to be? That's their demand. That's their test. They want the truth of your transformation. This is why their presence feels heavier than chains. When they ask, "What have you become?" they aren't asking politely. They are tearing at you with silence, forcing you to answer without words. Your stance answers. Your calm answers. Your fire answers. Every flicker in your eyes is a confession they record. Yeah, and here's the brutal part. They already know most people fail this stage. Most crumble when the watchers draw near. They bow under the weight of that gaze. They stutter. They break. Because pretending is easy in the shadows, but standing naked before those who see everything, that is something else entirely. And that is where most collapse. Nah. Don't think you can fake it. Don't think you can throw on the armor and bluff your way through. They've seen every trick, every false front. They know the trembling hand behind the clenched fist. They know the hollow eyes behind the forced grin. And they expose it all without saying a word. You can't deceive them. You can only become. And that is what terrifies them, as much as it terrifies you. Because if you have truly become something greater than their calculations, you are dangerous. Not dangerous in the way fools imagine. Not reckless. Not chaotic. Dangerous in the way mountains are dangerous to storms. Unmoved, untouchable, inevitable. They fear that. They fear it because once someone reaches that state, they can't be controlled. They can't be herded. They stand outside the game. Oh, the watchers thrive on games. Strategies, power plays, hidden levers to bend people where they want them. But you threaten to be the exception. The one piece they cannot move. That is why they demand to see what you've become. They must know whether you are just another pawn with sharp teeth, or if you've stepped into something far beyond their reach. And here's the twist. Their demand is not for their sake alone. It is for you. Because until you answer them, not with words, but with what you are, you won't even know yourself. They force you into clarity. They corner you into confrontation with your own becoming. And once that moment happens, there is no return. So the stage is set. They've come close. They've locked eyes. They've demanded your truth. And you stand there, stripped of pretense, facing the question that will define everything. What happens when you show them what you've truly become? When truth is revealed, it cannot be taken back. It burns through the air, leaving scars in the silence. So, what happens when you show them? What happens when the watchers finally see the full force of who you've become? Simple. The room changes. The balance changes. The world changes. Because once truth steps forward, illusions die, masks crumble, control fractures. Oh wow. The look in their eyes when they realize you are not fragile anymore. That moment is worth everything. They lean in closer, expecting weakness, expecting hesitation. But instead, they meet a presence that does not shake. They meet eyes that do not break. And the silence between you and them thickens into something unshakable. That silence says more than words ever could. You've crossed a line no one can undo. And that is when fear enters them. Yes, the same agents who once held themselves above everyone else, who moved in shadows like untouchable forces, suddenly they blink, suddenly they pause, because what they are looking at isn't supposed to exist. Their world has rules, their system has cages, their game has pieces. But you don't belong to their game anymore. You tore yourself out of it. Yeah, think about that. You were not supposed to reach this point. You were supposed to stay small, stay silent, stay predictable. That's why they watched, to confirm you'd remain in your place. But you didn't. You carved your own place. You made yourself a presence too sharp to ignore. And now they have to reckon with the consequence of that. Nah, don't let their sudden hesitation fool you into thinking they're harmless now. Fear doesn't make them weak, it makes them desperate. When they see your truth, they will test it harder than ever. They will push, they will probe, they will strike at every seam looking for cracks. Because if you can be broken, they must find the fault. If you can be shaken, they must shake you now. This is the price of becoming undeniable. And yet, this is also the reward, because every attack they throw at you is an acknowledgement of your strength. They wouldn't waste their fire on shadows. They only strike what they cannot dismiss. Their obsession is your proof. Their pressure is your validation. And when you remain unshaken, their tests collapse into silence. Oh, the silence after the storm. That silence is the Gelleration, because when their weapons fail, when their tests break on you like waves on stone, they are left with no choice but to accept. You are not just seen, you are beyond their reach. And that is the ultimate consequence of revealing. Once they know the truth of your becoming, once they taste the reality of your endurance, they cannot put you back in the shadows. They cannot erase what they've witnessed. You've forced their recognition into permanence. You've branded yourself into their memory. So here's the question they will never say aloud, but you'll hear it in their silence, in their eyes, in the way they retreat and return again, unsure if they should fear you or follow you. What happens when the watchers stop testing and start submitting? Submission is the silent confession of power. That's what it means when they stop testing you. They don't announce it. They don't applaud. They don't send banners through the sky declaring your victory. No, their submission arrives quietly, like a storm deciding it no longer has the will to rage. They pull back. They adjust their stance. Their voices lower. And suddenly, the ones who once watched you from above are forced to tilt their heads upward. Oh, wow. That shift is everything. Once, they measured you like prey under the lens. Now they weigh themselves against you. The hunter becomes the hesitant. The observer becomes the observed. Their silence no longer carries dominance. It carries respect. And here's the part they'll never admit out loud. By testing you, they sharpen you. By pressing against your walls, they forged them stronger. Every move they made to expose weakness instead carved strength. Now they see the reflection of their own failure. They tried to break you, but in doing so they built you. That is why they bow. Yeah, it doesn't look like bowing in the way people imagine. No knees hit the ground. No heads dip in ceremony. But you'll notice it in their hesitation, in the way their words bend when addressing you, in the way they seek your reaction before making their next move. That hesitation, that is submission. Nah, don't mistake it for surrender. They'll never stop existing in their shadows, never stop weaving their games, but to you they shift, they pivot, they move from opposition to recognition. They mark you as an equal or worse for them, as a force above their control. That is the rarest transformation of all. And the beauty of it? It cannot be undone. Once they've seen you unshaken, once they've tested every angle and still found you standing, they cannot erase that reality. It lodges in their memory like fire and dry wood. They will never approach you the same again. This is where most people stumble. They think the watcher's submission is the end. They think the battle is done. But you know better. Their bowing is not closure. It is a doorway. Because when those who once hunted you acknowledge you, it doesn't just change them. It changes the field. Others begin to notice. Doors open that were once locked. Eyes turn that were once blind. Your presence spreads through corridors you never even knew existed. Because when the highest watchers bend, the rest of the world whispers, and whispers spread faster than fire. Which leaves only one question. Now that the watchers have bowed, what will you do with the world that suddenly opens before you? And there it is, the moment you've been waiting for. Top-level agents exposed, their silence shattered, and their eyes locked on you, not just watching anymore. No, thanking you in person. Oh wow, do you feel it? The weight? The recognition? The truth that you're no longer in the shadows? You're standing right where they never wanted you to stand. Yeah, that's power, that's presence, that's you, and this entire ride, it's proof that nothing can erase what you've become. Nah, don't slip away now. This isn't where it ends. This is where you speak. Drop your fire in the comments, show the world you're awake, and if this monologue hit your soul, smash that super thanks and keep this storm alive. You're not just viewers here. Oh no. You're the force that makes this message real. The reason the silence breaks, the reason this channel breathes. So until the next storm, stay sharp, stay unshaken, and remember, the watchers may bow, but you decide what happens next. Oh, they didn't just dislike you. They declared war on your existence. Like some twisted movie scene, they formed a squad. Yes, a squad. As if you were the villain in their weak little fairy tale. And for what? For being brave enough to rise? For daring to chase a dream they secretly wished they had the courage to pursue? It's hilarious if you think about it. They didn't whisper. They gathered like you were a wildfire they needed to extinguish. But what they didn't realize is that you were already burning too bright to be put out. They mocked you, ghosted you, smiled in your face while stabbing you with their silence. A whole crowd against one soul. That's fear, not power. That's your strength threatening their comfort zone. And you stood there, maybe shaken, but never shattered. You didn't disappear like they hoped. You evolved. You sharpened. You let their lies become the pressure that turned you into something unstoppable. They wanted to break you, but ended up building your legend. How poetic is that? They sent the whole squad to bury you and accidentally handed you the mic. Now you're the story. You're the rise. You're the fire they couldn't put out. And this isn't about revenge. It's about resilience, so raw it scares cowards. It's about standing tall when every hand tried to pull you down. It's about that quiet, furious power growing inside you, waiting for the perfect moment to erupt. And when you rise, and oh, you will, they'll all be watching. They won't be clapping, but they'll remember. Every single move. There is a silence, a special kind of silence that doesn't whisper. It roars. It's the kind that shakes the ground with its stillness, the kind that makes noise cower in its shadow. Not born of fear, not born of weakness, but the calm, unshakable silence of someone who has been through the storm, danced with solitude, and came out glowing with steel in their soul. That's your silence. The silence of someone who walked alone for so long you stopped calling it loneliness. You called it peace. While others fought to be heard, to be liked, to be understood, you simply stood, quiet, grounded, unbothered. And that shook them more than any scream ever could. You never cared to be the center of attention. That wasn't your mission. You didn't fake smiles. You didn't nod to gain approval. You didn't crack fake laughs at jokes that stung like knives. No, you stood your ground in a room full of masks while you wore your truth like armor. And that made you dangerous. They didn't understand you, so they feared you. They saw your silence and called it arrogance. They saw your calm and labeled it defeat. But oh, how wrong they were. They had no idea they were in the presence of a silent storm, a soul built in solitude. A force quietly gaining strength while they wasted theirs seeking applause. You're not shy, you're strategic. You walk into rooms and watch. You feel the temperature without a word. You catch lies and smiles, pride and laughter, and envy and compliments. And that alone, it unnerves them. Because while they were trying to be seen, you were seeing everything. You weren't loud, but your energy made the loud ones uneasy. You weren't chasing followers, you were chasing fire, purpose, depth, legacy. You weren't building a social circle. You were building a kingdom within, quietly, steadily. Like a master architect laying bricks no one else even noticed. They couldn't label you, couldn't box you. And when they couldn't control you, they tried to diminish you. That's how the world reacts to anything it doesn't understand. If I can't figure them out, they whisper, maybe I should fear them. And you became a threat, not by doing anything wrong, but simply by not needing to be understood. You shattered their comfort by existing beyond it. You never needed a seat at their table. You were too busy crafting your own from raw ambition, nailed together with solitude and fire. They were used to puppets, people who danced for attention, who twisted themselves to fit in. But you rewrote the script. You didn't ask for a role. You created the stage. You moved with vision, and vision makes the small-minded tremble. You didn't broadcast your dreams because they didn't need an audience. They needed action. You weren't hiding. You were preparing. And now that they see what you've built, what you've become, they act shocked. But they always knew. Deep down, they always felt that electric current in your silence. They just hoped you'd never flip the switch. And then came the nights, the long, hollow, echoing nights. But you didn't run. You stayed. You sat with the silence. You dug deep, found gold in the darkness. Every lonely hour became a forge. Every ignored moment became fuel. You were never broken. You were becoming. While they partied, you planned. While they mocked, you molded. You weren't falling behind. You were building something the world couldn't rush. You weren't lost. You were rising in silence. Every no redirected your path. Every rejection sharpened your focus. You didn't crave attention. You craved evolution. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Now, you're untouchable. Not because you shouted your worth, but because you lived it. Your silence turned into movement. Your growth speaks louder than any insult ever could. You didn't clap back, you climbed higher. And now, you stand where they said you'd never reach. You weren't loud, but now you're success. It echoes across every room, every wall that tried to close you in. You were the background once. Now you're the whole scene. They misread the quiet one. But the real storm, it never announces itself. Because sometimes, the most powerful person in the room isn't the one shouting. It's the one who knows exactly who they are and doesn't need the world to agree. That's you. The silent soul, the lone wolf, the storm in stillness. You were never behind. You were always ahead, quietly. Keep walking, because the loudest thing you'll ever say is your life itself. And greatness? Oh no. Greatness doesn't come in crowds. It carves its own path, alone. You didn't even realize it at first. It crept in like fog at dawn, silent, creeping, almost unnoticeable. A glance that lingered a second too long. A laugh that didn't reach their eyes. A shift in tone so subtle it barely echoed. But your heart caught it before your mind did. Something had changed. The room didn't feel the same. The warmth had drained from their voices, and suddenly, the very people who once lit up around you turned cold. You still laughed like you always did. You still showed up with your full heart, loyal, real, raw. But somewhere in the silence, somewhere in the avoidance, somewhere in the little digs and quiet retreats, you realized something gut-wrenching. They turned on you. And not with fireworks or final words. No. They turned like shadows at sunset. Slowly, quietly, all at once. You replayed moments, picked apart memories, questioned everything. Was I too much? Did I say the wrong thing? Am I the problem? But it wasn't your fault. The truth? You evolved. You started climbing when they were comfortable sitting. You started rising when they were still making excuses. And your light, your fire, your relentless growth, it made them uncomfortable. Because you became living proof that excuses don't build dreams, discipline does. And your existence started shaking the very foundations of their comfort zones. They say they want to see you win, until your win requires them to look in the mirror. Until your glow exposes their darkness. Until your confidence makes them question their own stagnation. And suddenly, the cheers fade. The "you got this" turns into whispers, and the once supportive squad becomes a silent courtroom, judging, doubting, sabotaging. They didn't just turn away, they turned against. But let me tell you something that'll make your heart beat louder than their silence. That moment they flipped on you, that was the moment your power crashed through the ceiling. Because when the masks fall off, the truth gets loud. It stings. It shakes. But it sets you free. You weren't made to beg for acceptance. You weren't built to tiptoe around insecurity. You are not a diluted version of yourself for their comfort. They tried to twist your loyalty into a leash. They thought your kindness meant you'd never bite back. But they forgot. You're not weak. You're not naive. You're a storm in stillness. A fire wrapped in calm. You took that betrayal, every shattered piece of trust, and you didn't cry in corners. You built fortresses with it. Brick by brick, scar by scar. lesson by lesson. Let them whisper. Let them strategize. Let them sit in circles counting your flaws. While they're busy trying to pull you down, you're halfway up the mountain, silent, focused on fire. Because your revenge, it's not in rage, it's in results. It's in that look on their faces when you walk past the finish line they never thought you'd reach. It's in your unshakable peace while they drown in their own bitterness. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to fight them. Success is louder than gossip. Growth is heavier than envy. And peace? Peace is the quiet power they'll never understand. Let them come. Let them talk. Because the truth is this: every time they gather against you, it's proof you're worth the effort, that you're dangerous to the status quo, that you're not just rising, you're unleashing. So when they turned on you, they didn't break you. They built you. And now, you don't owe them revenge. You owe yourself everything. Walk loud. Burn bright. Smile wide. Because the noise they made trying to destroy you will be nothing compared to the thunder your presence will create. There's something powerful about being misunderstood. Something sacred about being misjudged by the world. It's not a curse, it's a hidden advantage. When they can't read you, they can't predict you. And when they can't predict you, they fear what they cannot control. You've lived most of your life on the edge of that misunderstanding, being labeled, doubted, and sized up by people who never took the time to truly know your heart. They saw only your silence and called it weakness. They saw your distance and mistook it for arrogance. But what they never saw, what they could never understand, was the storm quietly building inside of you. The storm that was waiting, watching, growing, until one day it would change everything. Being misjudged is lonely. It isolates you in the middle of crowded rooms. It makes you feel like you're speaking a language nobody else hears. But that very isolation, that's where your power began to grow. While they underestimated your thoughts, you sharpened them. While they overlooked your potential, you cultivated it in silence. You used every misjudgment like a weight in your training. Every wrong assumption became resistance that made you stronger. And slowly, over time, you transformed, not into what they expected, but into something beyond what they could ever imagine. See, when people misjudge you, they stop watching. And when they stop watching, you're free. Free to build without pressure. Free to rise without interference. While they sleep on you, you train. While they joke about you, you execute. While they waste time forming opinions, you're forming a future. Their misunderstanding becomes your cloak, and under that cover, you rise in silence like a shadow preparing for the light. And then comes the shift. The moment when the misunderstood becomes unforgettable. When the quiet one walks into a room and everything stops. That's when they realize they never had a clue who you were becoming. You were not the weak one. You were the one they would one day fear, respect, or regret crossing. And now their misjudgment is your proof. Proof that you didn't need validation to grow. You didn't need support to evolve. You didn't even need recognition. All you needed was a reason, and they gave you plenty. Let them keep misunderstanding you. Let them think you're cold, odd, distant, or even broken. It doesn't matter, because your value was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be demonstrated. And when you demonstrate it, not through words, but through actions, through unshakable presence, through victories no one saw coming, they'll finally understand. But by then, you'll be too far ahead for their apology to matter. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were designed to stand out, not fit in. And that comes with a cost of loneliness, of being labeled, of being underestimated. But in that cost lies a reward greater than anything they could offer. Freedom. The freedom to become something rare, something original, something powerful. And that's what you are now. So wear their misjudgment like armor. Let it protect your peace. Let it remind you that you're not here to be defined by people who couldn't dream as big, love as deep, or think as wild as you. You're here to disrupt, to awaken, to show the world what happens when the misunderstood rise. Because when you finally emerge from the shadows, the world won't just know your name. They'll remember the storm that came with it. Pain. It's the one thing they never see on your face, but they caused it. They carved it into your spirit with their words, their silence, their betrayal, their absence. They walked away without explanation, left scars without apology, and acted like you didn't matter. You sat in that storm alone, didn't you? With nothing but your thoughts screaming inside your head. And yet, through all that suffering, something incredible happened. Something they never intended. You turned the pain they gave you into fuel. Not just to survive, but to become unstoppable. You didn't run from it. You sat with it. You let the pain speak to you when the world went quiet. You let it burn you, shape you, crush every illusion you had about love, loyalty, and trust. You broke into pieces, not once, but over and over again. And every time you picked up the pieces sharper, smarter, stronger. You didn't hide from the darkness. You walked into it, eyes open, heart shattered, but soul unshaken. And that's what changed everything. The pain didn't destroy you. It refined you. They thought breaking you would silence you. But it only made you listen to your own voice more clearly. You stopped depending on the world for comfort. You stopped waiting for someone to save you. You realized something they hoped you'd never find out, that the only person you truly need is the one looking back at you in the mirror. That person, forged in sleepless nights and lonely mornings, is a warrior now, unshakable, ruthless, focused. You didn't just bounce back, you evolved. And your evolution? That's the nightmare they never saw coming. Every ounce of pain you went through became part of your armor. Every betrayal added a layer. Every heartbreak hardened your resolve. You no longer crumble when the ground shakes. You are the quake. And when they see you now smiling, unbothered, moving like a force, they don't understand it. They don't know what it took. They don't know the nights you had to whisper to yourself, just one more day. They don't know how many times you wanted to give up and didn't. But that's okay. You don't need them to understand. Because your strength isn't for their applause. It's for your own redemption. Let them live in the fantasy that you're still broken. Let them remember you as the version of yourself they tried to destroy. That's not your burden anymore. That's their regret. Because what they thought would ruin you rebuilt you into something they can never reach. You rose from their ashes, not as a victim, but as a storm cloaked in fire. And when you walk now, the earth feels it. Not because you're angry, but because you carry the kind of power that only pain can give birth to. So thank them, silently, without a word. Thank them for walking away, for doubting you, for breaking your heart. Because they gave you the very thing you never knew you needed, a reason. A reason to find yourself. A reason to stop waiting, a reason to rise. That pain they caused, it gave you direction. It gave you clarity. It taught you what they never could. How to stand alone and still rise higher than ever before. You are no longer the person they hurt. You are the result of what that pain created. A living, breathing reminder that storms don't just destroy. Sometimes they awaken sleeping giants. And now you are wide awake. And the world isn't ready. You disappeared for a while. Not because you were lost, but because you were preparing. You went quiet. You stopped showing up. You stopped explaining yourself. You cut the noise. Not out of defeat, but out of decision. The world thought you gave up. They thought the silence meant surrender. But silence is never surrender when it's coming from someone like you. Silence is strategy. It's stillness before the roar. It's the deep breath before the storm. And in your silence, you sharpened your mind, trained your soul, and rebuilt your foundation. Piece by piece, day by day. No one saw it. No one clapped for it. But you kept going. That's the kind of power that turns comebacks into legends. They thought the worst of you when you disappeared. Let them. While they watched for your downfall, you were mapping your rise. You studied yourself, faced your demons, dismantled the parts of you that were built on pain, fear, and the need to be accepted. You became your own hero in the shadows. No cheering, no spotlight. Just grit, just growth, just the raw, brutal beauty of rising without being seen. And now that you've returned, now that your silence has spoken, you don't even have to explain anything. Your presence does it for you. You walk differently now. You don't seek permission. You don't beg for understanding. You don't flinch at rejection. You've outgrown their games. You've walked through fire. And once you've walked through fire, you stop being afraid of smoke. The people who once doubted you can feel it. The ones who once laughed can sense the shift. You don't have to convince anyone. You just have to keep moving. Because the comeback wasn't meant to be loud. It was meant to be undeniable. They never saw it coming because they never truly saw you in the first place. They saw their version of you. The one they wanted to keep beneath them, boxed in, doubting yourself. They thought if they ignored you, you'd disappear. If they laughed at you, you'd stop trying. But they underestimated the fire you carried. They didn't know you were built from something deeper. Pain didn't kill your hope. It purified it. Isolation didn't destroy your spirit. It recharged it. And now your return is not a response. It's a reminder that you can't bury someone who plants their roots in suffering and grows anyway. This comeback isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection. It's not about showing them who you are. It's about showing yourself who you've become. You're not proving them wrong anymore. You're proving yourself right. That's the real victory. The unshakable knowing that you climbed out of a place that would have crushed most people. And you didn't just survive, you evolved. So when they see you now, let them whisper. Let them wonder. Let them pretend they knew this would happen. Deep down, they remember who they thought you were. And they know this version of you is not what they expected. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them access. All you owe yourself is to keep going. You're not just back, you're reborn. Stronger, wiser, colder where you need to be, warmer where you've healed. And this comeback, it's just the beginning. The world doesn't know what's coming, but you do, because you built it in the dark. And now, it's time to unleash it in the light. So now you know they didn't stop you. They started you. Every whisper, every back turned, every squad they sent to break your spirit, they only added fuel to your fire. They tried to erase you, but they only made your name echo louder. You were never meant to fold. You were meant to rise. And now the same people who doubted you will watch you walk through the flames they lit, untouched, unbothered, and unbreakable. Remember this, it's never about how many are against you. It's about how deeply you believe in yourself when the world turns away. You weren't built for approval. You were built for impact. So keep moving. Keep evolving. Let them keep talking. Because your silence is power. And your rise? Inevitable.